Sarah Thompson stepped onto the airplane with a quiet sense of relief. After years of service in the Army, she was finally heading home to her small town in rural Virginia. The ticket in her hand was for first class, a rare treat from the airline's military discount program. She had earned it, not just with her uniform but with the scars she carried inside and out. At 32, Sarah looked like any other traveler. Jeans, a simple hoodie, her dark hair tied back in a ponytail. But her eyes held a depth that spoke of battles fought far from home. The flight attendant smiled warmly as she checked Sarah's boarding pass. "Welcome aboard, ma'am. Seat 2A is right up front." Sarah nodded, her duffel bag slung over one shoulder. She settled into the wide leather seat, feeling the luxury for the first time in her life. It was a long flight from Germany back to the States, and she planned to close her eyes and let the hum of the engines carry her worries away. But peace didn't last long. A couple in their late 50s boarded next, dressed in sharp business clothes. The man, tall and balding with a gold watch that caught the light, glanced at Sarah and frowned. His wife, with perfectly styled hair and a string of pearls, whispered something to him. They stopped at the row behind her. "Excuse me," the man said loudly, waving down the flight attendant. "There's got to be a mistake. This young lady is in our section, but she doesn't look like she belongs here." Sarah's eyes snapped open. She turned slightly, keeping her voice calm. "I have a ticket for this seat, sir." The wife chimed in, her tone sharp. "Honey, look at her. Jeans and a backpack. This is first class. We paid full price for comfort, not to sit next to, well, you know." The flight attendant hurried over, her face polite but firm. "Sir, ma'am, all seats are assigned. If there's an issue—" The man interrupted. "Issue? We're loyal customers, platinum status. She must have gotten upgraded by mistake. Probably one of those economy folks who slipped in." Sarah felt a familiar sting in her chest, the kind that came from being overlooked. She had faced worse in the desert sands of Afghanistan, where bullets flew and friends fell. But here, in the air-conditioned cabin, it hurt in a different way. "I'm a soldier returning from deployment," she said quietly. "The airline gave me this seat." The couple exchanged looks. The wife rolled her eyes. "A soldier, please. You look more like a college kid. If you're really military, show some ID." Other passengers began to stare. A businessman across the aisle chuckled under his breath. "Maybe she's right. First class is for those who earn it the old-fashioned way, with money." Sarah's hands tightened on the armrests. She could feel the heat rising in her face, but she swallowed it down. Years of training had taught her to stay strong, to not let words break her. "I don't need to prove anything to you," she replied evenly. The man leaned in closer. "Listen, girl, we've got important meetings tomorrow. We don't want distractions. Attendant, move her back to coach where she belongs." The flight attendant hesitated, glancing at Sarah. "Ma'am, do you mind if we check your ticket again?" Sarah handed it over without a word. As the attendant scanned it, the couple kept muttering. "These millennials think they deserve everything," the wife said loud enough for everyone to hear. Finally, the attendant nodded. "It's valid, but to keep the peace, perhaps we can offer you a seat in business class instead. It's almost as nice." Sarah's heart sank. She hadn't asked for special treatment, but now she was being pushed out. The injustice burned, but she stood up slowly. "Fine," she said, her voice steady. "I'll move." As she gathered her bag, the man smirked. "Good choice, know your place." Sarah walked down the aisle to her new seat in the crowded business section, her mind racing. She had sacrificed so much, nights without sleep, friends lost forever, and yet here she was, underestimated again. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would turn the tables in ways no one expected. In the cockpit, Captain Mark Reynolds prepared for takeoff. He was a seasoned pilot, 55 years old, with a career that spanned commercial flights and a stint in the Air Force. As the plane taxied, he overheard the commotion on the radio from the cabin crew. "Passenger relocated for comfort," the message said. He shook his head, focusing on the runway. Hours into the flight, turbulence hit. The seatbelt sign flashed on. Sarah gripped her armrests, memories of helicopter rides in war zones flooding back. She rolled up her sleeve to adjust her watch, revealing a tattoo on her forearm, a eagle clutching a rifle with the words Semper Fi in faded ink. It was a mark from her unit, a symbol of the day she had saved lives under fire. A flight attendant passing by noticed and paused. "That's a powerful tattoo. Military." Sarah nodded. "Army Special Forces." The attendant's eyes widened. "Thank you for your service." She hurried off, whispering to a colleague. Word spread quietly through the crew. By the time the plane leveled out, Captain Reynolds got a message. "Passenger in 12B has a military tattoo. Might be the one relocated from first class." Curious, he asked for more details. When the attendant described the tattoo, his face went pale. He froze, staring at the controls. That tattoo, he knew it all too well. It was from the same unit as his son, who had served and come home broken. But more than that, it reminded him of a story he had heard, a hero who had pulled soldiers from a burning convoy. "Get her up here," he said, his voice tight. "I need to talk to her." As Sarah was escorted to the cockpit, she wondered what was happening. The door opened and the pilot turned. His eyes locked on her tattoo, and time seemed to stop. Word count, approximately 5,000, continued in Part 2. Part 2, Echoes of the Past. Sarah stood in the narrow cockpit doorway, the hum of the engines vibrating through her feet. Captain Reynolds looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read, shock mixed with something deeper, like recognition. "Ma'am," he said, his voice steady but his hands gripping the yoke a little tighter. "That tattoo on your arm, where did you get it?" Sarah glanced down at the ink, a habit from years of people asking. "Afghanistan, 2018, my unit, why?" The co-pilot excused himself politely, giving them space. Reynolds motioned for her to sit in the jump seat. "I'm Mark Reynolds, flew in the Air Force back in the day. My son was Army, same theater. He told me stories about a soldier, a woman who led a rescue during an ambush, saved half her squad, including a pilot who went down nearby. The tattoo matches what he described. Was that you?" Sarah's breath caught. Memories rushed in like a sandstorm. The heat of the desert, the crack of gunfire, the screams of her team. She had been a sergeant then, leading a patrol when IEDs exploded. Vehicles flipped, fire everywhere. She dragged 3 men to safety, then went back for more, her own leg wounded. The tattoo was a promise among survivors to never forget. "Yes," she said softly. "That was me, but it wasn't just me. We all fought." Reynolds nodded, his eyes misty. "My son was that pilot. He ejected from his chopper during the chaos. You pulled him out. He came home because of you. He never knew your name, just called you the guardian angel with the eagle tat." Sarah felt a wave of emotion. She had saved lives but lost others that day. Her best friend, Mike, didn't make it. The guilt still weighed on her even now. "Your son, is he okay?" "He's home in Virginia, same as you, struggles with PTSD but alive, thanks to you." Reynolds paused, then added, "I heard about the seat mix-up. I'm sorry, you deserve better." Back in her seat, Sarah stared out the window at the clouds below. The flight landed smoothly in Washington, D.C., and as passengers deplaned, the couple from first class brushed past without a glance. Sarah collected her bag and stepped into the terminal, the captain's words echoing in her mind. Home was a 2-hour drive to Elmwood, a quiet suburban town nestled in the Virginia hills. Elmwood was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, old brick houses, a main street with a diner and a hardware store, and a military base nearby that had shaped many lives. Sarah's family home sat on a shady lane where her parents waited. Her mom, Ellen, opened the door with tears in her eyes. "My girl, you're back." Dad, a retired mechanic, hugged her tight. "We missed you, kiddo." But readjusting wasn't easy. Sarah woke from nightmares, jumped at loud noises. She took a job at the local VA center, helping other vets. It gave her purpose, but the plane incident lingered, a reminder of how the world saw her, just a young woman, not a hero. One day at the diner, she overheard gossip. Heard about that soldier girl who got kicked out of first class. Some big shots complained. The speaker was Betty, the town busybody. Sarah froze, coffee cup in hand. How did word spread? Then she remembered the couple from the plane lived nearby. The man was Harold Jenkins, a local businessman who owned half the town's real estate. His wife, Marlene, ran the community club. They were pillars of Elmwood but whispered to be snobs. At the VA, Sarah met Tom Reynolds, the captain's son. He recognized her tattoo immediately. "You're her," he said, shaking her hand. "Dad called me from the plane, said he froze when he saw it. You saved my life." Tom was tall like his father but walked with a limp. They talked for hours about the war, the pain, the healing. A bond formed, quiet and strong. But trouble brewed. Harold Jenkins, hearing Sarah was back, started spreading rumors. "That girl thinks she's special because she wore a uniform, but I saw her, demanding first class like she owned it." Sarah ignored it at first, focusing on her work. She volunteered at the base, training new recruits. Her strength showed in small ways, helping a young soldier through panic attacks, sharing stories of resilience. One evening at a town hall meeting, Jenkins stood up. "We need to support our vets, sure, but some come back entitled, like that Thompson girl causing scenes on planes." Sarah was there in the back row. Heads turned, she stood, voice calm. "Mr. Jenkins, I didn't cause a scene. You did." The room murmured. Jenkins flushed. "You don't belong in places like that. Know your place." The words echoed the plane. Sarah felt the old anger rise, but she held it. "My place is wherever I earn it, and I've earned more than you know." As she left, Tom caught up. "Don't let him get to you. Dad's coming to town next week. We'll set this straight." Little did Sarah know, the twist was coming. A revelation that would expose Jenkins' own secrets and bring her the respect she deserved. Weeks passed in Elmwood and the tension grew. Sarah threw herself into her routine, mornings at the VA, afternoons walking the trails near the base, evenings with her parents. But Jenkins' words had planted seeds of doubt in the town. Old friends gave her side glances. Whispers followed her at the grocery store. One afternoon at the diner, Marlene Jenkins approached her table. "Sarah, dear, I hope there's no hard feelings about the flight. We just wanted a peaceful trip." Sarah looked up, fork paused midair. "Peaceful? You humiliated me in front of everyone." Marlene waved a hand. "Oh, come on, you're young, you'll get over it. My husband works hard, he deserves nice things." Sarah set her fork down. "And I don't. I fought for this country while people like you sat comfortable." Marlene's smile faded. "Watch your tone, girl. We support the troops with donations, of course." As Marlene walked away, Sarah felt the weight of injustice. It wasn't just the plane. It was a lifetime of being underestimated. As a kid in Elmwood, she was the tomboy who joined the army to escape a dead-end job. Now, back home, she was still fighting. At the VA, Tom became a close friend. They shared therapy sessions, laughing over war stories that weren't funny at the time. "You know," Tom said one day, "Dad's flying in tomorrow. He wants to meet you properly." Captain Reynolds arrived at the small airport, greeted by his son. Over dinner at the Thompson house, he shared more. "Sarah, what you did that day, it changed everything for us. Tom wouldn't be here without you." Sarah blushed. "I just did my job." "No," Reynolds said firmly. "You went beyond, and about that plane, I'm ashamed it happened on my watch." As they talked, Reynolds revealed something. He had checked the passenger manifest. Jenkins isn't who he seems. He's got a history, dodged the draft back in the day, claimed a fake injury. Now he acts high and mighty. Sarah's eyes widened. "How do you know?" "Old Air Force connections, but keep it quiet, we need proof." The next day at the base's annual memorial event, Jenkins was the guest speaker. He stood on stage, chest puffed. "As a proud American, I honor our veterans, though some forget the values we hold dear. Sarah sat in the audience, Tom beside her. When Jenkins finished, she raised her hand during Q&A. Mr. Jenkins, what was your service like? Did you serve? The crowd hushed. Jenkins stammered, I supported from home, important work. Murmurs rose. Sarah pressed. Supported how? By avoiding the draft. Jenkins turned red. This is outrageous. Who is this woman? Reynolds stood up. She's the woman who saved my son's life in combat, and you, sir, forced her out of a seat she earned. The audience gasped. Jenkins stormed off stage, but the damage was done. Word spread like wildfire through Elmwood. That night Sarah reflected on her journey. The sacrifices, the friends lost, the nights alone had built her strength. But facing civilian scorn tested her in new ways. Tom walked her home. You're changing things here, Sarah. People see you now. She smiled faintly. I just want fairness. As they parted, Sarah didn't know Jenkins was plotting. He called old contacts, digging for dirt on her. But what he found would backfire, leading to a twist no one saw coming. The fallout from the memorial rippled through Elmwood. Jenkins, humiliated, doubled down. He used his influence to block Sarah's promotion at the VA, whispering to board members that she was trouble. Applications for veteran housing she helped with were delayed. It was petty, but it hurt the people she cared about. Sarah felt the pressure building. Her mom worried. Honey, maybe let it go. He's powerful. But Sarah shook her head. Mom, if I back down, what does that say about all I've fought for? She dove deeper into her work, organizing a support group for female vets. Stories poured out. Discrimination, overlooked sacrifices. It fueled her resolve. Tom and his father helped. Reynolds, using his network, uncovered documents. Jenkins' draft deferment papers, signed with a doctor's note for a bad knee that mysteriously healed. But there was more. A business deal where Jenkins profited from military contracts, cutting corners on supplies sent overseas. This could ruin him, Reynolds said over coffee, but we need to handle it right. Sarah nodded, not for revenge, for truth. One evening, Jenkins confronted her at the park. You think you can take me down, soldier girl? I've built this town. Sarah stood tall. You built it on lies, while people like me bled for it. He sneered. You're nothing without that uniform. The words stung, but Sarah walked away head high. Inside, doubt crept in. Was she strong enough? At a town festival, tensions peaked. Jenkins announced a donation to the base, posing for photos. Sarah attended with Tom. When Jenkins saw her, he mocked loudly. Look, the hero who can't stay in her seat. Laughter from his friends. Sarah's fists clenched. Tom stepped forward. She's more hero than you'll ever be. A crowd gathered. Reynolds arrived holding papers. Folks, let's talk truth. This man dodged service, then profited from war. Jenkins paled. Lies. But the documents circulated. Whispers turned to outrage. Veterans in the crowd nodded. We deserve better. Jenkins fled the scene, his reputation cracking. Sarah felt a mix of relief and sorrow, not joy in his fall, but justice in the air. As night fell, she sat with Tom on her porch. This changes everything, he said softly. She looked at him, emotion stirring. For all of us. The stage was set for the final revelation, a twist that would seal her redemption. In the days that followed, Elmwood buzzed with change. Jenkins' business suffered, partners pulled out. The town paper ran a story, local hero exposes hypocrisy. Sarah's name was cleared, her strength celebrated. But the real twist came at a special ceremony at the base. Reynolds nominated Sarah for a community award. As she stood on stage, Jenkins appeared, uninvited. I have something to say, he announced, voice shaky. The crowd tensed. Sarah braced herself, but instead of attack, Jenkins hung his head. I was wrong about the plane, about everything. My son. He served too, died in action. I couldn't face it, so I hid behind money and status. Gasps echoed. Jenkins pulled up his sleeve, revealing a faded tattoo similar to Sarah's but with a different unit. This was his. I got it after he passed, to remember, but I let grief turn me bitter. Sarah's heart softened. She stepped forward. I'm sorry for your loss. We all carry scars. Jenkins nodded. You reminded me what real strength is. Forgive me. The crowd watched as Sarah extended her hand. We moved forward. Applause erupted. The pilot, Reynolds, smiled from the side. That's my guardian angel. Later, with Tom, Sarah found peace. They started dating, building a future on shared understanding. Elmwood changed, more support for vets, less judgment. Sarah's journey, from underestimated soldier to respected hero, ended not in revenge but in healing. Her tattoo, once a mark of pain, became a symbol of hope, and in the quiet suburbs of Virginia, justice prevailed.